Hi, do you ever get pain in your butt from sitting for long periods or either after walking up a hill? Hi, I'm Dr. Catherine Price. I'm a physical therapist, and in this video, I'm going to go over trigger point release of the gluteus maximus muscle, which is the buttocks muscle. The gluteus maximus is the largest muscle of the body, and it is going to be involved in jumping, running, anytime that you're doing a squat and you're pushing with your leg, extending your hip, you are using your gluteus maximus. And it can develop trigger points if you overload it. So if you are walking uphill for a long period and repetitively pushing with your buttocks muscle, you can overcontract some of those areas in the muscle. That can be development of trigger points, as well as if I sit for long periods, it lengthens that muscle, and when you lengthen a muscle for a long period of time, it can have areas of places where there's overcontraction and trigger points. So you can develop trigger points in the muscle. And if you have pain in your buttocks that is along the inside here, or even traveling to the outside, that can be from the gluteus maximus muscle. So let's go over origin, insertion, action, and how to release these trigger points in order to alleviate buttocks pain. So if I am going to contract the muscle, it's going to extend the hip. So if I extend the hip, I'm going back behind my body. It will also rotate the leg out to the side. So it's going to rotate the leg away from your body. It will also, on those lower fibers, it will adduct muscle, so it'll take the leg and it will bring it in. So when I strengthen the muscle, I will lift my bottom and then push my knees together, and that will contract the lower parts of the fibers of the gluteus maximus muscle. So for trigger point release, what I want to do is know my origin insertion. So it's going to attach to the back of the hip bone, the top of the hip bone, the iliac crest, and it's going to go and insert on the greater trochanter, which is the bony part of the hip that sticks out. And it's going to also attach to the IT band and to the femur. So it's going to run all the way down the IT band. I consider it the tendon of the gluteus maximus muscle, and that is a band that runs all the way crosses the knee joint. So your gluteus maximus is also going to attach to the sacrum, so the outside of that lower triangular bone, it's going to attach there. And fibers will also attach to the coccyx, which is the tailbone. And then into the ischium, that is going to be the lower bottom of the bony part that you sit on when you are sitting. And it is going to be a superficial muscle. You've got some deep rotators in the hip, but the butt muscle, that gluteus maximus, is that large muscle right on top of those rotators that attaches down the side of the leg. So I'm going to start at the very top of the gluteus maximus, and I'm going to work my way close to the sacrum. So your triangular bone at the very bottom of the spine, I'm going to go to the meat of the muscle of that glute max, following along that line all the way down to the ischium, which is the bony prominence that you sit on when you are sitting. So I'm going to work my way outside that hip, and I also call this a butterfly glute release to release the trigger points in the gluteus maximus muscle. You can use different tools. You can use a foam roller if it is really tender, and that can be a place to start, but the most effective tools that I find are going to be a 4 3/4 massage ball or a single lacrosse ball. This can be intense, so I start with a little bit of a broader surface area. What I want to do is find the top of my hip bone. I'm going to come a little bit to the back side of that, and that's where I'm going to start, right on the meat of the tissue there. I'll go onto my elbow, and then I'm going to follow along the side of that sacrum, but I'm staying on my butt muscle. So I'm going to just follow along the butt all the way to the ischium, which is that bottom bony prominence that you're going to sit on, and I'll just slowly investigate just along that line. And I want to go really slow, and if I find a trigger point, I want to hold for 20 to 30 seconds on that area. So I start at the top and then just slowly make my way to the bottom of my buttocks. And I'll use my other hand for stability, for balance. It can be really tender, so if you need to put pressure on your arms to unweight some of the body weight on those areas, that is certainly fine to do. And then I'll work my way slowly back to the top. And then if I find an area that is really tender, I'll try to hold there and let it subside. You want it to decrease. If I want to add movement to further help with releasing that trigger point, I'll lift the bottom leg up and bring it right back down. So this is where I call this a butterfly glute release. I'm flapping the bottom wing and just releasing the gluteus maximus muscle. So I'm working from the top of the butt all the way down to the bottom, and the rule of thumb, if you feel like you are going slow, go slower. So working my way top all the way to the bottom. After I have released the trigger points in my gluteus maximus, I then want to stretch that muscle. To do that, you can lie onto your back, bring your knee up into your chest and just hold, so you're getting a good stretch through your gluteus. And then I can also bring my knee to the opposite side and just get a stretch through my gluteus maximus there as well. So bringing the hip into flexion, lengthening that muscle is going to stretch it. So releasing the trigger points and then stretching them. And like I mentioned, you can use a single lacrosse ball. So tennis ball, a smaller size, will work as well. Placing it at the top, working my way down. It's going to be a lot more localized, so this can be more intense when you do approach those trigger points in that gluteus maximus, but it will also release the trigger points. And you just want to hold, stay static for about 20-30 seconds on some areas that are intense, and then work on the whole entire gluteus maximus from the top to the bottom fibers. And I do want to spend about 2 minutes for minimal dosage so that I'm releasing the tension in the fascia, which is the connective tissue around the muscle as well. Now, to strengthen the gluteus maximus, what I like to do is I like bridging for strengthening of the gluteus maximus. So what I'll do is start with your feet together, and you can bridge up, and that'll activate the glute max, and it'll activate different fibers. And working on bridging in this position, and then working my feet out. So then squeezing, lifting up, you'll feel that it should be a little bit of different contraction in the buttocks in different areas as you move your feet. When I hold up, I'm then going to squeeze my knees inwards so that I can start to engage different areas in that gluteus. Like I mentioned earlier, your lower fibers, they will add up to the femur, bring the legs in, so you'll further engage those muscles when you bring the knees in. I then can work on some fibers by pressing the knees apart to get that lateral rotation. So I can go up into a bridge, and then I can push my knees apart, and I can pulse that direction as well. I can then bring my feet out a little bit wider. Squeeze my buttocks, lifting up. I can press my knees, bringing them in. Squeeze my glutes, pushing out. I'm going to feel it working in my gluteus maximus, and bringing my knees back in and pushing my knees apart. So those are ways that I like to strengthen the gluteus maximus muscle, and how I will release those trigger points in that area. So another thing that the gluteus maximus does, which is really important, is it's a big stabilizer of the low back. So if you sit for long periods and the gluteus maximus muscle is shut off and it's not activated, then you can develop back pain because it's going to stabilize the back muscles. So a strong butt can help support your back. It's also going to help you lift your body upright and help with posture. So if you spend time leaning forward, it can overactivate that glute max in a lengthened position to develop trigger points. So you want a nice, strong buttocks to hold you in an upright position. And it's a really important muscle of the body, stabilizes the back. It's utilized in running, jumping, climbing up and down stairs, very functional. So that is how you can address pain that occurs in the buttocks if it is coming from the gluteus maximus. If any of this information is helpful to you, I would very much appreciate if you would like and subscribe to this channel, and I appreciate the support very much, and I hope that you have a blessed day. Thank you.